Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to another episode of Soul Chat Saturdays. It's your host, Mawaya. If you're new here, I'm glad to have you. And on Soul Chat Saturdays, we just kind of get into certain topics that really we need to be looking at in order to empower ourselves, in order to live our best lives. And it's usually the nuance, nitty gritty, the things that we don't want to talk about. So in today's episode, I want to talk about how to love yourself at every stage and appreciating uniqueness. So this concept is pretty much how I look at it as like a self-love hack. Appreciating uniqueness, because of the principle of it. If we appreciate uniqueness, it is basically saying that everybody has a space in this world, no matter what they look like, no matter how they sound, no matter how they carry themselves. And so I feel like this is very important. And because even if you have preferences, and even if you have the way that you want to look, and you may not agree with the way that everybody dresses or the way they carry themselves, we have to look at the end of the day that we are all here, and we all have differences, and we all want to feel accepted. We all want to feel like we are not judged at every corner. I can hear some people saying like, well, that's just life. And yes, that's life. But do you personally like to be judged all the time for the decisions that you make, for the way that you look, for the way that you carry yourself? Because even if you consider yourself quote unquote normal, there's somebody out there that despises that. There's somebody out there that judges you for that. And it doesn't feel good. So appreciating uniqueness. I would create a short little video on my Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm a Y Tribe, MYWIA, and it was basically like this is a practice. This is a self-love hack. This is a way to love yourself more deeply by appreciating the uniqueness of others. Now, with the Mawaya Tribe, with Meet You Where You Are, which is what it stands for, I can't just tell you to go from one, not loving yourself, to two, loving yourself. I'm all about the breakdown. I'm all about how can we make this practical for ourselves. Let's take this from the abstract, right? So one way to do that is to literally, like, as you're scrolling, because we all scroll every now and then, or if you're on the internet, if you're watching the news, if you're watching a movie, wherever you're able to see other people in real life. Isn't that crazy that I just like named that last? All right, I digress. But in real life, you look at somebody that you don't necessarily agree on either how they look, how they dress, how they act, how they sound, how they are talking, if they're loud, if they're too quiet, if they are, something about them that irks you. And I really want you to suspend judgment on them for a second. Don't give them any praises, but don't down them either. Just look at them. And then I want you to go into the mode of finding, it's kind of like a mantra. It's saying, well, thank you for looking the way you do, because you create the space for everybody to look however they want to look. I don't necessarily like the way you look, or I don't necessarily like the way you dress, or I don't necessarily like the way you act. But I am grateful for this space, because I sometimes am not always acting the way that everybody wants me to act, or I'm sometimes not dressing the way that everybody wants me to dress, or looking the way that everybody wants me to look, or society standards of the way we're supposed to look, act, and dress. So, when you're able to create the space for other people in your mind, or you can go and give them a compliment as long as it's genuine, right? We're not doing any fake compliments here, right? So, as long as you're being genuine about it and you're garnishing gratefulness, you're creating gratefulness in your spirit and your body, you're creating space for them to exist as they are. And that's the baseline of why we're here. We're here to explore our own individual interests, our own individual wants and motivations. And if we find a collective that loves that as well, then we can, they are a part of the tribe then, right? So you're creating space for somebody that you would normally judge. You're creating space for them to just be. And every time you practice this, it's not going to feel comfortable or automatic in the beginning, but with everything, it's a muscle that you have to strengthen. And so as you practice this, it really becomes like you create more love in your heart. You start to look at yourself, and you start to, on the days that you don't look your best, or the days that you feel like you are gaining weight or breaking out, or you hate your wardrobe, or you may have scars and you may have disfigurements. You start to create the space for yourself, because it's like, well, if they can exist regardless of my judgment, like they're still here, that's fact, right? So my judgment really changes nothing. Then I don't have to judge myself, because my judgment changes nothing. I deserve to exist as I am. I deserve the space to exist. And that's beautiful. And so that space is really what the love is. It's not like I love myself. You will get there. Like, without a doubt, you'll get there, especially if that's your intention. But the space is what is garnishing the love. The space is garnishing relaxation. The space is what's allowing you to unfold naturally without pressures. Because a lot of times the pressures that we put on ourselves, or the pressures that society puts on us, is the same pressures that we put on ourselves. It's the same pressure that we hold ourselves to. If you have parents or guardians in your life, or adults in your life that constantly talk about your weight or your appearance or how you wear your hair, you're going to internalize that, and you may even pass that down to your children. And there's so much nuance in that too, when we're talking about guardians and parents, and when they police our bodies, and when they when they're trying to control us in that way. So when our parents are trying to control us and criticize us in that way, that definitely speaks to self-worth of the parent, their values, their beliefs, and it gets a little deep. So we're not going to go through too deep in this video about that, but it's a topic that I would like to touch on. So what brought me into really wanting to speak about this today? Well, I happened upon a BuzzFeed article that was talking about Instagram, and there's a media influencer, a content creator. Her name is Sarah Photo. A content creator. Her name is Sarah Puto. And she's Finnish, and her whole Instagram is basically, I think it's called Sarah Saggy, which is hilarious. And her whole Instagram is about showing posed images versus like unposed images. So showing natural bodies, how just a simple way you pose your body can completely, and I mean drastically, change the way that your body is shaped, the way it's perceived online. It is pretty wild, like how different some of her photos look based on her just kind of sucking in her stomach. And her whole thing is like, appreciate your body. Like, I'm going to show you what my body really looks like, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like because I posed it. And so I love this article because I'm like, she's showing, she has pictures of her squeezing her stomach. She has like the hip dips that a lot of people are very now self-conscious about. I hate now that social media has like picked apart our bodies, right? Like, I remember when the whole thigh gap thing became a thing, and I'm like, what? Like, this is something so natural, and how do you even work on that? Like, how do you work on hip dips? Like, what the heck? I didn't even realize that was like something that we would aspire to, but it became a thing, and then it's like another thing to become self-conscious about in your body. And so, it's just, I love that she has this type of Instagram that's showing like, hey, my body looks just like your body. Our bodies are just bodies. And she gets into deeper about just like being grateful that you have a body. That's another way to love yourself. It's like, I'm not about to pick apart my looks, my appearance, the way I look. It's okay to have some days where you hate your clothes. I definitely have days like that. And there's days where you're feeling like you just kind of feel frumpy. You're feeling like you're just like not your best self. Those days are normal, but it becomes a problem when you become the police to yourself. You become that tyrant, that controlling thing to yourself, that controlling force to yourself. Because it's like society already does that to you. You need not do that to you. You need not have to force yourself to fit a societal standard that already exists. Like, you become the police for it, right? And you don't see yourself as that, but you become an agent of society when you fall in line with that, and you cause your inner child, your internal world, to be put in a place of submission. You force yourself into submission, and a lot of times we don't even do anything about the things that we hate. We just complain about them. We say like, oh man, I'm gaining weight, or oh man, I have stretch marks, or oh man, I need a haircut, or something like that. And we don't even do anything about it. And it's like, okay, so you're going to complain about how you look, and you're not going to do anything about it. So you're just going to create a negative feedback loop over and over and over again, to where you just ruin your whole day. And so either it's kind of like, it's either you identify the problem and you do something about it, or you learn to live with it and you learn to love it, because that's the only way through it. And again, the only one of the few ways that you can love yourself at every stage in the right now moment is to create space for you to be able to just be. You don't have to be that force that keeps you in line. Everything else does that. In your sacred moments, in your alone time, you don't have to do that. You can create kind of like a taboo or something like that time with yourself, and be like, I'm just gonna allow myself to be. My stomach's hanging over. I took my bra off, and like, all these physical things that we can allow ourselves to just like breathe for a second. Give yourself that space. Appreciate uniqueness in others so that you can garnish the appreciation for your uniqueness. You don't look like anybody else. Your proportions, your body proportions, your face, your hair, the whole combination of it all is unique to you. If you cannot provide space for uniqueness of others, you will never be able to provide space and uniqueness for yourself, aka self-love. It will not happen. Also, this is the light worker's work, right? If we can love other people for who they are, you don't have to keep them in your life. You don't have to associate yourself with them, especially if they have certain behaviors that do not align with your values. You don't have to be around them, but you need not judge them, because they're probably already judging themselves. So that's already checked off the list, or society's judging them. So that's checked off the list. You need not do it. You can just turn away from it. You don't have to look at it. You can find where that particular behavior fits in a different scenario. So say somebody is loud, and it's like, oh man, like they're super loud. Like they would be really useful. That would be really useful if we were, at a sports event. And, I can see why that is a valuable asset. Maybe not in this context, but hey, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. So you create space for all these different things that you would normally judge, so that when you personally act them out, you will be able to, one, see them, and it won't be in a blind spot, shadow spot. And you'll be able to love yourself, because it's like, okay, well, maybe I kind of shouldn't have done that in this context, but I'm grateful that I can do this, and it will be appropriate in a different context, right? So, you appreciating uniqueness, appreciating who other people are for themselves as they get to explore and learn about themselves, and you appreciating yourself as you get to explore and love things about yourself. And you're a flower, right? You're a flower, you're ever evolving, you're ever unfolding. You may be purple in one season and white in another season. I'm pretty sure flowers do that. But you are constantly evolving, and you have to give yourself the grace. You want grace from others, you have to give it to yourself. You have to give it to others. If you want to call yourself a light worker, this is the work. Do not judge people who are not on a spiritual path. Do not judge people who are on the dark path. Do not judge people, because all of it is a conglomerate of the human way, the human condition. So there's so many other layers to this, because we can branch off into like, oh, well, human beings suck, and we are a cancer on this earth, and we can hate ourselves in that way, the core of ourselves. And let's just love on our fur babies. But we are here, and we can't do anything about that. It is what it is. So this is the Soul Chat Saturday for this week. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know how you have learned to love yourself deeply. Let me know something unique about you that that nobody else would have known about you. Like, let me know. And then if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can listen to this on anywhere that you can get your podcast. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Reasons. There's so many platforms, right? Wherever you get your podcast, go ahead and give me a rating on there so I can reach more people, so we can have more dialogue. We can talk about these things. Let's figure out how we can love ourselves and love each other. Let's figure out a way that we as individuals can create the world that we want to live in, and stop feeling victim to this world. It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with we. And we gonna do the damn thing. All right, y'all. I love y'all, and I will see y'all in the next one. And I will talk to y'all in the next one. Happy journeying.